Hello there, and welcome to another episode of The Fuck Did I Just Watch? With your host, as always, Kyle McLemore. This week we'll be recapping and reviewing the latest addition to the DC Universe. It's Shazam! Fury of the Gods! Now, before we get too far along in the review, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It definitely helps the show stay alive, and we appreciate it here at MomsGarageStudios. Now, if you haven't seen Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and would still like to, make sure you pause now and return later, as we'll be doing a full recap and review of everything, including that after credits scene. So this is your official spoiler alert. Fury of the Gods is the sequel to the 2019 film Shazam, and is also one of the first films to emerge after the big James Gunn mix-up over at DC. And so I was very curious to see what this new direction would be, if this would be Shazam's final appearance, or if this would be a new chapter in the new DC kind of James Gunn universe. Fury of the Gods sees the return of nearly the entire original cast and crew from the first film, including director David F. Sandberg, who directed the first film, as well as dipping his toe into some horror genre like Annabelle Creation. And we see the return of the entire original cast, all the kids, and their superhero alter egos. And although the cast can feel a bit large at times with not only our entire foster family, but their superhero alter egos, much like the first film, it tends to focus mostly on Billy Batson and his best pal, Freeman. Fury of the Gods also has the introduction of some new villains, played by Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu, and newcomer Rachel Zegler. Fury of the Gods picks up not too long after the original film. We meet up with our old gang and everybody's still doing their superhero thing. And while the original film focused on like family and building relationships and building trust, the sequel seems to be about keeping all that together. Like, it seems like everybody seems to be slowly spreading their wings and trying to go off and do their own thing, while Billy is trying to keep the whole family together. And it's the classic story of Billy trying to keep everybody together and just trying to hold on tighter and tighter, while the more he grips, the more people slip through and try to break free. Zachary Levi, of course, giving a great performance as Shazam / Billy Batson. It's interesting to watch his performance because he's not only acting as Shazam, he's acting as a kid who's in the body of an adult, so it's a layered performance, and it is interesting to watch, and he does a good job of tapping into that, I don't want to say immaturity, but like just the youthfulness of a kid. Like he taps into it well, and it reads across the screen very well. And the best performance probably comes from Billy's BFF, Freeman, aka Jack Dylan Grazer, who comes in just as he did in the previous film as a heavy comic relief, but that's not all. He's also doing some really great acting. There's a scene where he's kind of like being like tortured or whatever. He has to like fight like his own willpower or whatever, and it's really good. He does a really good job, and honestly kind of like steals a little spotlight there, Freddy. And we can't finish this review without mentioning Djimon Hounsou, who really swoops in with his limited screen time. He swoops in and nearly saves this whole movie. Djimon Hounsou is such an amazing actor, and he just injects pure talent into this film that really saves it. So let's talk about some of the visuals and action sequences in this film. Throughout the film, there is a lot of CGI. There is a whole bunch of CGI. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you consider that it's a movie about superheroes fighting mythological creatures, so it's like, yeah, there's going to be a good amount of CGI, but a lot of it looks great. There is a lot of really good visuals. There is a dragon that's flying around for possibly like the last third of the movie, but it looks pretty good overall, and there's lots of fights with like a Cyclops and a Minotaur, and all those miniature creatures look really great. Really cool looking Minotaur Cyclops kind of thing. Even like these harpy things were looking pretty dope. If there's one thing I can say that I really did not enjoy, it's that they made Lucy Liu fly this dragon for possibly like the last third of the movie. Like, she is on the back of this dragon for so long, and it just looks really boring every time they cut to her, just like I could not get the idea of her just sitting there like on a green lump in front of a green screen, just like okay, Lucy, and now the dragons, it's really roaring. Like, and that brings us to probably the most disappointing part of Shazam, and that's the villain aspect. It's the Sisters of Atlas. And I hate to point the finger, but I think most of it goes to Lucy Liu for dragging down the performance, which is unfortunate because I love Lucy Liu. She is amazing, and I was actually pretty excited to see her. It's been a very long time since she's popped up in like a big movie like this, so I was very happy to see her. And then to be like in a villain role, it's like, yeah, dude, let's see Lucy Liu like really cut loose. And I don't know what was happening. I don't know what the filming schedule was, but if I had to put money on it, I think they made her ride that CGI dragon probably like for the first couple days. I'll bet you they made her do that stupid CGI dragon, and by the time they were finally like, all right, let's do some more actual acting, I think she was over it, because her performance in the whole film is so like lifeless. It is so dry. It is so just like, dude, she has lines that are delivered with just no like there's no delivery on any of her lines. She's just like walking, this looks like a good place for a garden, which is like supposed to be a menacing like line. Or there's like parts where she's like angry and like, we need to like, like fuck humanity, but she's like, fuck humanity, it's time to get our revenge. Haha, now we will be the ones who laugh at humanity instead of them laughing at us. And it's like, hey Lucy Liu, what did we do? Did you not have your coffee this morning? Why is this performance so not good, Lucy Liu? Who is acting opposite of Helen Mirren, who's like, even Helen Mirren is like, come on, if Helen Mirren is down for this, Lucy Liu, why can't you be? If Helen Mirren is like giving it her all to this like, ridiculous film, why can't you get on board, Lucy Liu? And I think that's also where we have a big clash in the movie. It's like you have half of the film is like the back and forth between like Billy and like his rest of his family. Billy and Freddy, they have a great, really quick back and forth, joke. And even when they are in superhero form, like when it's Billy talking to Super Freddy or Freddy talking to Super Billy, aka Shazam, it's still like a really good back and forth. Like even when Zachary, Levi, and Helen Mirren, they have their confrontation, there's like really great zingers, like jokes. The humor in this film is actually really good, and there is some really great funny stuff, but a lot of it goes over your head, or a lot of it like you can't keep up with the pace because it slows down so heavy every time it goes into like mythology stuff with like Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu, who are giving like Lucy Liu's performance is so dry and boring. And anytime they're talking about like our father Atlas, and we need to go back to our realm and plant the seed, but we can't plant it here, like fuck this place, we're gonna plant it here and make it corrupt. It's like, I don't care about any of this, it's not interesting, and you're boring the hell out of me. So then when we slap back over to Billy and Shazam and we're zinging all the humor, it's like, whoa, I was so bored and like losing my mind over here in like ancient mythology land that when we do adjust to like all this great humor, a lot of it's flying by me before I finally snap out of it like, oh shit, sorry. My attention really shut off with the old boring sisters over there. So let's go ahead and hit Shazam! Fury of the Gods with our overall rating. Fury of the Gods, not only an action movie, but it's also packed with humor and a lot of interesting visuals, like, superheroes fighting interesting looking creatures, lots of color. Not only that, but some really great performances from not only our kid actors, but our adult actors acting as kids. If there is a flaw or kind of a weaker spot to point to, it's probably the Daughters of Atlas. It's probably the villains of the film who are not really that interesting. And as it turns out, they're also not really Shazam characters or villains. The fact that they were made for the movie makes it feel even more alien that they were just kind of shoehorned in there. It's already sort of a hard sell. Like, ancient mythology is kind of a hard sell when you're mixing it into like modern stuff. All of their lines are like, we must return our golden apple to the garden of Molecula, and then we will, Atlas, he calls forth from Hades, and he must, and it's like, All of this is just like hitting like the snooze button, dude. I'm just like, you're putting me to sleep with all of this. That combined with Lucy Liu being like totally checked out of the movie, it's just like that's probably the weaker part of the film. It's just like really there was not a single Shazam villain that you could like cross over. It's like you had to make a whole new lame ass like trio of sisters like. Now, having said all that, yeah, the trio sisters is kind of lame. Yeah, Lucy Liu is like barely alive in this movie. Yeah, having said that, it still is like pretty funny. It is still like visually at least like it looks great. It is still like I went into the film expecting really not to like it at all. I was expecting like, oh, this is gonna be 2 hours of just me hating life, and it turns out I actually kind of liked it. It actually wasn't that bad. So I think overall, we're going to slap Shazam! Fury of the Gods with a B-. That's right, coming in slightly above average. This one kind of snuck up on me and being better than I could have ever expected. And of course, that brings us to that after credit scene. It looks like Shazam is on a collision course straight to Peacemaker. Which is interesting because I feel like one of the big things that I really liked about Peacemaker is that Peacemaker doesn't really have powers. He's just kind of like super strong and has like his cool helmets that do stuff. Other than that, pretty much powerless. Now there are like, crazy aliens and creatures all in that show, but at the foundation, it's kind of like a powerless superhero thing, which I dig. So introducing Shazam into that universe, who's basically like Superman into the Peacemaker verse, intriguing. I do like the dynamic, the future dynamic of Zachary Levi and John Cena. Kind of like they're both, Peacemaker already kind of has like the maturity of a 13-year-old, and Shazam is 13 or whatever. I think he's like getting close to 18. So personality-wise, I like the idea of those two working together. Again, it takes away from like the whole powerless superhero thing, but if I've learned one thing recently, that's to put my full faith in Mr. James Gunn. So I'll ride or die with you on that one. Let's see. I cannot wait I'm very intrigued at what the future has to bring. Now, if you felt differently about Fury of the Gods, make sure you comment down below. And if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button because it definitely helps the show stay alive. And we appreciate it here at MomsGarageStudios. I am your host, as always, Kyle McLemore, and we'll see you next time at the movies.